So I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I've never been. I've heard of Kilmacurra. I know Seamus well down through the years. I first met Seamus 22 years ago. I'd been invited to. Actually, I'd blagged my way into the Chelsea Flower Show, and I'd been told 22 years ago that I needed at least 60,000 Irish punts to create a garden at Chelsea, and I hadn't got a single penny. And about 6 weeks before the start, in 1995, 6 weeks before the start of the Chelsea Flower Show, I went down to Ballinskelligs in County Kerry, and I borrowed a house of a friend. She gave it to me for a weekend. I stayed there for 3 weeks, and every day myself and my friend would hop in an old van, and we'd drive up and down the borings into the fields, and we had plastic Irish fertiliser industry bags, and we'd dig up whatever. We'd no money for plants, so we dug up whatever we could find. And we knocked on the doors of some great gardens, one of them being Glanleam, run by Mita Kreisig down there, and we asked to borrow things like tree ferns to bring them over to London for a little bit of a holiday, and we promised to bring them back afterwards. So it was a most motley crew 22 years ago this week that arrived at the Chelsea Flower Show. They'd never seen such a collection of plants. In Noel's house, the place that I'd borrowed, a cow had got into the courtyard where we were storing them and trimmed them very nicely for us. But the really great thing that year was that Mita looked on in amazement at what we were doing, and she sent to London to follow us over in the last few days a very learned young gardener called Seamus O'Brien, and at least we have the best expert in all of the Chelsea Flower Show to point out the names of plants that we hadn't a clue what we dug up from this boggy landscape. So I know Seamus since then. He is a jewel in Irish gardening. Every place that he's been, he's brought his magic, and it's probably because of him that Kilmacurra will get back up to what it was many years ago and become this amazing estate, in a place that we can all once again be incredibly proud of. We have this brilliant temperate climate, the lack of extremes of hot or cold or wet or dry, which allows us to grow these plants from all around the world, and no better place than in Wicklow. We know which Powerscourt has been voted the third best garden in the world. We know which Mount Usher in Ashford has been looked after by the Pratt family. We know, I see Jane Power's wonderful article on June Blake's garden, bringing that to the fore with the RHS. People are looking at the gardens we have now. These two posters behind me really sum up. I live on the road, on the Rocky Valley going up to Roundwood, and every Saturday and every Sunday you see cars, loads of people with bicycles or garden appreciators going and really appreciating our country like it's never been appreciated before. And with so many jewels all around us, we're in a fantastic position. The Office of Public Works do a great job. When I was a student in the Botanic Gardens, the palm house and the curvilinear range were literally falling apart, panes of glass falling on people. And what had happened around that time, the great palm house at Kew Gardens had been restored, but it hadn't really been restored. I took it down and they mimicked it in different contemporary materials. And what the Office of Public Works did way back then was get somebody in to x-ray all the old iron, and they developed a way to weld cast iron together. They went off to the scrap yards that Kew had sold their bits and pieces to, and brought that cast iron back to Dublin where it had originally been made, designed by Turner, and did a brilliant job on the restoration of both ranges. And I've no doubt that they'll do a brilliant job on the restoration of the house. First first of all, putting the roof on it and then bringing it back so that people will be able to see our not only garden heritage but architectural heritage. No pressure at all, Morris. I enjoy my gardening here. I could do with a little bit more rain this season. I can't believe I'm saying that, but our gardens are a little bit parched. My little one in September made the big decision that she was going to walk to school every single day this year, and we said that would never happen because of the Irish climate. She hasn't missed a day, and that's kind of brilliant but kind of frightening with climate change at the same. So we need to think about how we garden and the resources we have. Good luck to you all with this festival. Well done for flying the flag for Irish gardens and for Wicklow gardens at home and abroad. You have jewels to show people, and continue producing magic. Thank you very much.